Here we come to the third topic of today's course, which is the green infrastructure. I know this course will be very interesting for you. Green infrastructure is a bit different than sustainable infrastructure. As I highlighted before, sustainable infrastructure is a very general term. So green infrastructure is part or one category of the sustainable infrastructure. Green infrastructure means that using natural resources to work as natural resources or vegetation, soil, or other elements to work as infrastructure. I will give you an example. Green infrastructure uses vegetation, soil, and other elements and practices to restore some of the natural processes required to manage water and create healthier urban development. One of the clear examples, and we all know, and it's very widely used all over the world, and here in Egypt and in the Middle East, is green roofs. Green roofs is one of the proven practices to reduce the heat island effect and to improve the air quality and to improve the aesthetic look of the building. So using a natural resource to work as infrastructure is or lies under the term green infrastructure. We have other definitions. Yes, of course. We have the blue-green infrastructure is a network providing ingredients for solving urban and climatic challenges by building with nature. Blue-green means that we can add some water resources to these uh, these green infrastructure. One of the examples here is to have water structure over the roof or above the roof. In that case, we can call it blue-green infrastructure. The green infrastructure also serves to provide an ecological framework for social, economic, and environmental health of the surroundings. As we said, in all sustainability, whenever you say sustainability, you have to know that there are three pillars: social, economic, and environmental. Um, Here we have the pure blue infrastructure. We talked about the green infrastructure. We talked about the blue-green, and now we have the blue. The pure blue infrastructure refers to urban infrastructure related to water. Blue water is commonly associated with the green infrastructure in the urban settings and may be referred as blue-green infrastructure when in combination. As I said, blue related to water, green is using in general using the natural resources as infrastructure, blue-green when we combine both. Rivers, streams, ponds, and lakes may exist as natural features within cities and can be considered for sure the blue infrastructure. By the way, these terms can change, are different from country to country, from culture to culture. However, I'm trying to bring here to your knowledge or to your attention the famous or the most used terms in the profession. But in some countries, for example, in Qatar, they are not using these terms, the green infrastructure or the blue infrastructure. They simply say sustainable infrastructure. And by the way, one of the things to be highlighted in that all the sustainability rating tools currently are addressing buildings as infrastructure. There is no, or there are very few rating tools talking about the infrastructure itself, the roads, the sewage network, the water network, stormwater network. Uh, in Qatar, we have the GSAS for infrastructure, but for example, in LEED considers or addresses the infrastructure under the building. I chose four types or the four main types of the green infrastructure for our discussion today. There are many, but I chose only four because they are the most famous types of the green infrastructure and the ones that can be used here in Egypt. Um, and these types are applicable here in Egypt and we can use it. So that's why I chose these four. The first thing is urban forest. So I will have a question now that do you think that we have urban forests in Egypt? The answer is yes. I know it's not as intensive as Europe, for example, but we have some areas that are surrounded by green developments. For example, in Upper Egypt or some parts of Cairo, we have vegetation surrounding urban development or buildings that can work as or can be considered from sustainability point of view as urban forest. Okay, so what is the need for urban forests? Simply, it's a protection. It's a built to protect the built environment from the heat island effect, the thermal radiations, the CO2 emissions, and as I said, the aesthetic value of the building or the aesthetic value of the development. The green infrastructure and the urban forest can help improve the aesthetic value of the building. Urban forests are the forests located in cities. Urban forests use appropriate tree and vegetation species instead of noxious and invasive kinds, which reduce the need for maintenance and irrigation. In addition, native species also provide aesthetic value while reducing cost. One of the applications we have used in the Gulf in Qatar is using the vegetation and the trees, special types of trees to fight the desertification. The sandy winds attacking from the desert, attacking cities, one of the cost-effective and efficient tools to fight is to put vegetation, because this will prevent the wind, stop the wind, and protect the land from erosion and protect the city from the desertification or the attack of, as we call it, the attack of the desert. The second thing, we don't see it commonly here in Egypt. However, it's very applicable and it's a very good application. Is constructed wetlands. Constructed wetlands are man-made wetlands which work as a biofiltration system. They contain wetland vegetation and are mostly built on uplands and flood plains. It's used widely in United States, in Canada, in Europe. It's used here in Egypt, but not as common as there. It's recommended to use such application because it's a natural filtration system, especially in the times of flooding. We have witnessed some flooding events here in Egypt in the last few years. So constructed wetlands is one of the very efficient and very recommended applications to direct the stormwater flow and to make natural filtration of the water. And of course, we are protecting here the environment, protecting the soil, and protecting the groundwater, which is very important. We talked about the third type, which is the green and blue roofs. And as I said, it's a very efficient tool to fight the thermal challenges of buildings. It can fight the heat island effect. It can reduce the need of using air conditions. It can improve the indoor quality by making a natural insulation above the top of each building. And it will improve for sure the air quality. So as we all know that plants are generating oxygen. So it's very good tool to improve the overall environment around the buildings. And the last one I will talk about today is the bioswales. Bioswales are stormwater runoff systems providing an alternative to traditional storm sewers. Much like the rain gardens, bioswales are vegetated or mulched channels commonly placed in long, narrow spaces in urban areas. It's a bit different than other applications, than the constructed wetlands, but it's very good and very recommended again to be used to make natural filtration of the storm water or the water resources in general. I have seen it in some places here in Egypt, and I think it can be improved. One of the things that I recommend is to improve to improve the bioswales with some engineering tools and techniques, and to use it in small developments in the rural areas. It will be very good to preserving and keeping the um, or neutralizing the heat around the buildings without for sure without raising the humidity.